Hey, what's up, guys? It's Mike from Budget Gaming, and today I wanted to do something a little different. I am really excited about World of Warcraft Classic coming out on August 27th, 2019. Basically reverting back to vanilla, so if you ever played the original World of Warcraft expansion only because it came after Warcraft 3, then I highly suggest picking this up because it's going back to the old system of talents, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So when this game comes out on August 27th, and just as a reminder, it's not only out on PC, but I also heard that it was out on Switch. I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but I might have a link at the top of the screen to send you to a page that can show you more information about that. But today I wanted to introduce my character idea for a series that I'm going to start for my channel. So today we're going to talk about how to set up an off-tank shaman in WoW Classic. Now, if you know anything about shamans, their specializations, even in relevant WoW, which is what people are calling the latest expansion, Battle for Azeroth. The way they do it now is you have to pick a specialization. So if you want to be a healer, you pick healer and you get only heal spells for the most part. Vice versa, you pick a type of damage that you want to do, you only get spells and abilities for that type of damage. In WoW Classic, it's a little different because your talents are set up like this. So you have 51 points at max level to spend across these three talent trees. And you can put some in whichever abilities you want. And you can either max them out or leave them, only a few points in some. It's completely up to you. And I really like this idea of going back to this because it allows people to have less standardized builds. When this first game came out, it wasn't popular yet to go online and look at a build. So you had a lot of people doing a lot of cool things. And now that the internet is a bigger thing, I'm sure that we'll see more standardized builds for raid groups and PvP and what does the most damage output. But it also still allows you for these crazy builds. So if you have a crazy build that you're going to try, write a description in the bottom and maybe I'll check it out. And if I think it's a good build, maybe I'll make it a video and give you a shout out. So before we go into the talents, I want to look at all the abilities because for off-tanking as a shaman, it's going to be a little difficult. The reason I want to do it as a shaman is because they have totems to help them out, and that's going to be very keen on keeping aggro and maintaining threat on your enemies so they don't go attack your party member. The other reason I wanted to pick a shaman is because one, you can be a Tauren with a shaman, so it'll give us a little health boost in that war stomp will get us out of certain situations without allowing the enemies to attack our party group during that stun. Also, they can hold shield, which is unique for most healing classes aside from paladins, which I think is really cool because it gives you an armor bonus and it gives you an extra stat bonus as opposed to wielding just a staff or just a mace or whatever it may be. So the first one I want to talk about here is called Stoneclaw. Stoneclaw, it costs 140 mana. This is base at rank 6, so the highest rank, but without any talents added. 140 mana, 30-second cooldown. The rank 6 is at level 58, but I believe you get the first one at like level 14. I could be wrong about that. Summons a Stoneclaw totem with 480 health at the feet of the caster for 15 seconds that taunts creatures within 8 yards to attack it. So obviously this is going to be one of your main taunts. So what you're going to want to do with this is you're going to put it into a group of people when your other taunts are on cooldown, and that's going to keep the enemies from attacking your party or raid members. Now, this class specifically, I'm only making it to be able to do regular 5-man dungeons, levels 15 through 60. So once I get to 60, I'm going to try to do it in raids, but I don't know if it's going to work well enough to be able to be viable in raids. However, hopefully by that time I have our own guild, a budget gaming guild. So maybe if I have a good healer or some other good tanks, we can make it work, and I think that'd be really fun. So your next main totem is going to be Tranquil Air Totem. So this costs 8% of your base mana, so your total mana. It's instant, of course, it's a totem, and you only get it at level 50. So we're not going to have this one for a while, but it definitely is going to help us with these bigger dungeons at that level. So it summons a totem with 5 health at the feet of the caster. The totem reduces threat caused by all party members within 20 yards by 20%. So this is going to be one that I'm really excited to try in raids, because my plan with this is I'm going to run up to the range DPS, I'm going to drop this totem on him, and then I'm going to run and take the boss, or whatever I'm fighting at the time, away from that 20-yard radius. That way they generate less threat, and it's less challenging on me to maintain threat without actually being a tank class and having specific skill sets to maintain threat. The Wind Fury totem says, summons a Wind Fury totem with 5 health at the feet of the caster. The totem enchants all party members' main hand weapons with wind if they are within 20 yards. Each hit has 20% chance of granting the attacker 1 extra attack with 315 extra melee attack power, and the totem itself lasts for 2 minutes. So this is going to be really good for when we get Rockbiter Weapon. Rockbiter Weapon is a weapon enhancement. Shamans have a lot of weapon enhancements, but I believe you can only put 1 on a weapon per turn. So for this specific build, we're going to be using Rockbiter more because it generates threat. So it increases the melee attack power by 653 and allowing melee attacks to cause additional threat when using that weapon. So I know you can't stack the Rockbiter weapon and the Wind Fury weapon enhancements as far as putting them on your weapon, but I'm hoping, and I don't remember for sure, if you can use the Rockbiter weapon on your weapon and then drop a Wind Fury totem and still get the Wind Fury enhancement on top of the already enchanted weapon. That would be ideal, because then we can get those multiple attacks generating lots of threat. And if you have a good enough mouse and enough frames, you can even stack it between hits. You hit someone else, generating another threat on another enemy just as fast. So that's going to be really fun to do. Something interesting about a Shaman tank that they're going to be able to do that other tanks can't is they also have healing. Healing in Classic generated a lot of threat. In fact, almost every heal class has a talent that reduces the threat generated by their heal spells. Clearly, in this one, we are not going to be taking that because we want to generate threat. So one of my other ideas is when we drop a Stoneclaw totem and all of the enemies start attacking the Stoneclaw totem, that's when we can start healing ourselves. Now, there's also a talent that doesn't allow interrupts when you're healing. So when you have a bunch of enemies around you, you can start healing yourself, which generates more threat without the chance of being interrupted. Now, this will throw off your healer a little bit, so if you're playing with a bunch of randoms, this could make them a little upset. But when I did this in vanilla, I had a friend who played a paladin healer, and he would queue as tank, I would queue as shaman healer, and then we would switch roles, and that way I always knew I had someone watching my back. So if you have a bunch of friends in WoW, or you're in a part of guild that finds this to be interesting, see if you can get a healer that can do that with you. And if you don't have someone to switch with you to get you to tank, it's going to be a little difficult because randoms aren't going to let you just switch whenever you want. You can ask, some of them did. So now that we know our main abilities, I want to switch over to the talent. So traditionally in a talent page in vanilla, you're going to want to put 31 points into one whole page, one whole tree, and that's going to get you to the maximum talent, which is usually focuses mainly on whatever you want to do based on what talent tree you choose to go all into. So normal healing would try to put 31 points into restoration and get this mana tide totem, and it gives mana to everyone, and that's fantastic for a healer. We're not trying to heal, so we're not going to be doing that. Ours is going to be a little different. Traditionally, it's 31 and 20 because you get 51 points total. We're actually going to be breaking it down 18, 25, and 8 in element, enhancement, and restoration, respectively. So we are going to start on enhancement, our middle column. This increases your chance to block attacks with a shield. And like I said, one of the best perks about being a shaman is that you can hold a shield as a healer. But in this tense, we're going to be doing a tank, but we're always going to have a shield, so we definitely want to have this on. Now, this increases the amount of damage reduced by your Stone Skin totem and Windwall totem by 10%, and it reduces the cooldown of your grounding totem. The cooldown on the grounding totem doesn't really matter too much. It just releases you from fear, which in a raid group your healer should be able to do anyway. If they can't, it's an option, but I believe you can only have 4 totems at once in Classic. I'm hoping that's still the rule. But we're going to get this just because it gives us a little bit of a base, and we don't really want to do any of these two. If you really want to do more questing, you can do the improved Ghost Wolf. It'll give you more speed, but we're going to do the improved Lightning Shield because, again, we're trying to take a bunch of damage. Now, one of the things that Shaman damage dealers, especially enhancement dealers, because they would like to have big slow weapons, this will allow you to use two-handed axes and two-handed maces. Now, this is really cool, but this does not allow you to use a two-handed weapon and a shield at the same time, so we absolutely don't want that. However, this increases your chance to dodge, which is fantastic for a tank because it means you're going to be taking less damage. Now, toughness clearly increases your armor value from items. Definitely want that. So we're going to max that all the way up. This gives you a chance to parry. Again, because we're going to have such a high dodge rate, every time you dodge, you have a chance to parry, and it does more damage. So because we're going to be kind of a dodging mitigation type tank, we definitely want to get parry. Finally, this one increases your attack power bonus of Rockbiter weapon and Wind Fury weapon effect. So, assuming that Rockbiter and Wind Fury totem stack the way they do, this should help with both. If they don't, it's still going to help with just one. Also, your Frost Tongue weapon and Frost Brand weapon by 5%, which is cool. But we're not going for that because we're not supposed to be dealing damage. We're supposed to be generating threat. Now, we have 24 points in here, but that is the main build of what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to jump over to our elemental page. Now, neither of these really do much for us. We could do the reduced mana of your shock. This one honestly could go either way. Because we're going to be using totem so much, or we're not going to be healing so much, I feel like we're not going to be using too much mana. But this may change throughout the gameplay. But for now, I want to increase the damage because Earth Shock, one of the abilities I haven't gone over, is an instant. It does immediate damage and it leaves an effect on them, but it's your highest threat generator. So if you can do more damage with it, I feel like that's a good idea. Now, we're not trying to do damage here, so we're not going to do Call of Flame, but Elemental Warding, just to get us to the next tier, it reduces the damage taken from elements. Elements is a huge thing in World of Warcraft. I don't believe it is... Nope. Fire, Frost, and Nature, so it does not count for Arcane, which is what it is. Hopefully we don't run into too much Arcane. Now, this one increases the health of your Stoneclaw totem by 25%. And the radius of your Earthbind by 10. We don't care about the second part. But at max level, now it increases the Stoneclaw totem by 50%. So now that 480 health totem that we had tanking now becomes a 720. I did that math in my head, so that might be wrong. If it is wrong, I'll have it popped up on the screen. Finally, we definitely want this reverberation. It reduces the cooldown of your shocks. And like I said, Earth Shock is your #1 threat, so we always want to try to see that on cooldown. Finally, we want to end this tier with Eye of the Storm. It allows you to gain focus casting that lasts for 6 seconds after being a victim of a melee or ranged critical strike. The focus casting effect prevents you from losing casting time when taking damage. Now, this is going to be keen because we're going to have so many people hitting us all at once that we're bound to have a crit at some point. And when we see that go up, that's when we want to cast our long cast time heals because they will not be interrupted. This is going to generate a lot of threat. This is going to maintain our health, and this is going to give us an opportunity not to waste time on interrupted casting when we could be generating threat or moving around strategically. Finally, we're going to jump over to Restoration. Not too much in this one because we're not trying to heal ourselves that much, but we do want to be able to heal ourselves to generate threat. This is where the talent Healing Grace comes in. Almost all healer talents have this. It reduces the threat generated by your healing by spells by 5%. It's not what we're going for because we want threat. So I don't even think we're going to have points to get into that. But we're definitely going to reduce the mana cost of our healing spells. The idea here over improved healing wave is because we're not trying to cast all the time, and we know we're going to be hit all the time. So we're hoping that we're going to get the critical damage from Eye of the Storm, giving us the focus cast to where this won't matter. However, because we're dropping so many totems and using so many spells to generate threat, our mana is going to be a little iffy at first, so we're definitely going to be taking the mana. Secondly, increases your target's armor value by 8% for 15 seconds after getting a critical effect from one of your healing spells. This is called Ancestral Healing. This is really good because on the chance that we get a critical hit, and if we had more talent points, there are talents down in Restoration that up your critical chance for both healing and damage spells. However, we're not going to be able to do that. But on the chance that it does crit, it gives us more armor, and for a tank, that's especially what we're going to need. So now we have 1 point. I'm still debating on where to put this 1 point. So like we could put it on improved weapon totems, and that'll give us more attack power from our Wind Fury totem, which would be cool, assuming that stacks. We could also put it over an elemental focus. It's basically the same thing as the clear focus for our healing, but it's specifically for after casting any fire, frost, or nature damage spell. The clear casting spate reduces the mana cost of your next damage spell by 100%. That would be really cool because Earth Shock would go in there. Aside from that, not really any of them are going to give us that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 point into Ancestral Knowledge, and that's going to give us... that could give us maximum mana. This 1 point, it seems negligible because it's just 1 point, but really it can do stuff. So I think I'm going to go and put it in improved weapon totems. And hopefully that Wind Fury stacks. So now here's a list of all our spells if you want to take a second to read through all of them. I kind of told you which ones we're already going to be using. Again, something we're going to be able to do is we can chain heal on ourselves, and that'll heal other people, and hopefully the idea is it'll heal people that have gained aggro and have people attacking them, and that way we can generate threat off of our heal, also while benefiting our team. So it's definitely a different type of aggro and threat maintaining than traditional tank specs. But I'm super interested in this. I hope you guys are as well. I'm hoping it's going to work. I did something similar in vanilla, but I was a kid then, so I'm not sure if it worked or if people just tolerated me. But we're going to try this because I think it's going to be really fun. So make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when I start my WoW Classic series, you'll be the first to watch it, and we can go 1 to 60 on our Tauren Shaman together. Thanks. Bye.